So to get to FlipGrid, you are simply just going to go to flipgrid.com. So when you get to FlipGrid, it's going to look like this. And the awesome thing is because you are an educator, you have your own educator account. So I'm going to click educator login. If this is your first time, you still should be able to use your educator login. Because I use FlipGrid often, it already has my information saved. But you should be able to just use your Microsoft or your Google credentials and log in with your Newton County email. So even if you're using Microsoft, or if you're using or if you're using Google, use your Newton County email. So if you click the Google sign in with Google button, you would still use your Newton County email to get the educator's information. Okay. Now you can have your own personal FlipGrid account using your own personal email. However, if you want some of the bells and whistles that you get from for the educator side, you want to make sure you use your Newton County credentials. Okay, so in the FlipGrid 1 course, we talked about creating grids. So these are grids that I've created in the past, and we talked about creating videos. Today, we are going to take a deeper dive into these items up here at the top. So we've talked about the My Grid section. Today, we are going to go deeper into these other things up here at the top. So I want to know, have you guys heard of the term AppSmashing? You ever heard of AppSmashing? Some yes. Of course, Lori has. Okay, so with the exception of some of my friends that are kind of within our department as well, a lot of you are saying no. So AppSmashing sounds kind of just like that. Okay, so we're gonna take the good of all these cool apps and we're gonna smash them together. Okay, so we're gonna basically collaborate within apps. So FlipGrid fits very nicely into our Canvas learning management system. FlipGrid also has partnerships with I don't want to say a million, with a whole lot, with several other apps. And so I want to dig a little deeper so you guys can see the benefits of that. So we are going to go into the Disco Library tab. The Disco Library is a great spot to find inspiration from other educators that are being featured here. And so when you come up with an idea, you can submit a FlipGrid idea to the FlipGrid team. And if they like it, and if they deem you worthy, then you get to be a part of the Disco Library. And so your ideas are shared with the world, basically. And so there are all types of different discussion grids here, from exit tickets, if you're a book club sponsor, things about art. It's not just about our mainstream content areas. The Disco Library is full of ready to use discussion prompts for you to get your students engaged. So if you're a little confused on where to start, this is a great spot. But I wanted to kind of dig a little bit deeper. I'm going to scroll down to these featured playlists. Do any of these topics or any of these products look familiar to you? That you use maybe in your classroom? Talk to me. Do you use any of these in your classroom? Tell me which ones. Epic. Okay, I was hoping someone was going to say that. Very good. Used vocabulary. If you use vocabulary, I hope that you checked out Dr. Williams' email yesterday. There's some good stuff in there, so you might want to check that out. So I'm gonna, because I saw several people talk about Epic, I'm going to land on this spot right here. Okay, so remember we said an app smash was bridging or a collaboration of apps together. Okay, so the good of both. So although we are in the FlipGrid on the FlipGrid website right now, FlipGrid and Epic have joined together to create some awesome things. So I'm going to click the Epic button. And what I get exposed to are 32 different topics that go along with books that are on Epic. So if you assign Epic books and you're like, how can I'm new to FlipGrid, I don't really know where to start, Ijama. This is a good way to start because this kind of gives you an idea and kind of lays the foundation for some things that you can use. Okay. So my daughter absolutely loves Rosie Revere Engineer. So when I click this FlipGrid topic, it gives me, shows me the title of the book, but it shows me some information. So this is about learning about perseverance. So if you haven't read Rosie Revere Engineer, I suggest you take that up as your quarantine reading. Put that on your quarantine reading log, okay? But it gives you some information. It has some questions to jog your memory, to evoke interest in the book. And then it also says, read Rosie Revere Engineer on Epic. So this is a link to the book on Epic. And it's telling you over here, assign this book to your students with this URL. And if you don't have an Epic account, it's telling you to download that for free or to sign up for one for free. So now I have this awesome grid. And so this is telling my students they can answer these questions right here, these 2 questions or 3 questions about Rosie Revere. So I want to add this to a grid that I've created. If I click this drop down button here, you may not have as many grids as I do, hopefully not. I'm going to choose to put it in my NCSS Digital Learning 2020 grid. I click the grid I want to send it to, and then I click add. Now, once I add the grid to once I take the topic from the Disco library and send it to my grids, it becomes mine. So I can change anything about the topic. What if I don't want to call it learning about perseverance? I can change that. I can change the record time. Maybe my friends need 2 minutes for their to record their video. And maybe I want to ask different questions. I can change all of that content. When I scroll down, they've already given me the links to the video, which is awesome. I like this option. We talked about it last time about moderating videos. This means that you get to approve the videos before your class sees them. I always choose that option, okay? So I like to review them before they get posted. And then we talked about all these different options in FlipGrid 1. I'm going to update my topic. So now this is my very own topic in my own library. So I took it from the Disco library and I made it my own. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that is something useful? Do you think you would be able to use that? Very good. Awesome. So I want to show you another one because Dr. Williams jumped in the chat and I don't know if you guys missed it. And she let us know that vocabulary is free to us. And there's some good things. Yes, Caitlin, the students would record their answers to these questions. A lot of times I think there's a proper time for each. You know, some people say, well, if they're always using the video camera, when are they going to write or when are they going to type? I like to use FlipGrid as formative assessments sometimes. Sometimes I don't need you to write out your answer. I just need to hear you and hear your thought process. And so this is a great way to determine whether your kids got the main idea. You can tailor make and decide what you want to question or what you want to ask them to create in their videos. So if your students are new to FlipGrid, I would probably give them more instructions when I import a video from the Disco library. But I want to show you guys something else. So I'm going to go back to the Disco library and I'm scrolling down. So yesterday I was really excited about the news of vocabulary being free for all. That's alliteration. Did y'all catch that? All of those F's. So I was on a hunt. I was just searching all kind of stuff on vocabulary. So again, we're app smashing. We're taking the good from two different places and we're smashing it together. So I was on vocabulary. I'm going to search it up here. So here's one about pronouns. There's a really good song about possessive nouns, in case anybody wanted to know. But we're going to look at this one on pronouns. So when I click this topic, it gives the video. So this is the vocabulary video. If I click play, it's going to take it out to YouTube, I think. Yep. Vocabulary. I know you know, man. So I won't play it. I'll spare you guys in this moment. But there's some good stuff on vocabulary. So here, even though it's a vocabulary video, they have shared it on YouTube. So you have access to the video. And then over here, there are some questions. Okay. I would take out this information right here about the free for 30 days because that doesn't apply to us right now. But I would take this. This is talking about point of view. And it says, you know about pronouns? What do you know about them? So this could be an intro. FlipGrid can be used a number of ways. It could be your activating. So especially in this time when you may not have the opportunity to feel as though you are grasping or understanding what your littles or bigs know about a topic. You could start a lesson with a vocabulary video and then have your students tell you what they knew or what they have learned from that video. So really, really, really good stuff. I'm going to come out of vocabulary. The other thing I wanted to make sure I showed you as we talk about app smashing is that the great thing is you have the ability, even though these playlists are here, you have the ability to put them into your grid and make them your own. So tell me what you think in the chat. What do you think about app smashing, joining more than one app together? Do you like it? Do you think it's something that you would be able to use? My second grader, almost third grader now, absolutely loves FlipGrid. She likes to record her voice. These kids are like, this is the YouTube channel era. They're used, and we are the ones that sometimes get apprehensive about recording ourselves. I had seventh graders that you have those kids sometimes who are not the first to speak up. They have things to add to a conversation, but they're not going to be the first ones to speak up. And I had a young lady in my seventh grade science class who I didn't know by September, I still didn't know what her voice sounded like. And when I assigned a FlipGrid assignment, I got to see a different side of her. She was very open and she had all this charisma that was kind of hiding, but she felt comfortable not in front of everyone. So this is a really, really good tool. I hope that you guys are open to using it. So I kind of wanted to tell you about app smashing. So for all the people who started the session and you didn't know what app smashing is, you are on point. You are ready to rock and roll. So we talked about, there's some other cool ones in here. I want to make sure, go ahead and discover and play around with those things, okay? So we talked about the disco library. I want us to move on to the next thing for this topic. And we're going to talk about grid pals. Okay. So I don't have any grid pals. This is a new feature that came about after I left the classroom, but I'm super excited and I want to tell you guys about it. And hopefully you guys will find some grid pals. Maybe if not this year, maybe next year. So grid pals is a way to connect classrooms. They may be in the same building, in the same school, or they may be on the other side of the world. So think of it as digital pen pals. Did anybody do pen pals when they were in school? I had a pen pal in elementary school. They were in the same building, but we were still pen pals. I was maybe in second grade and they were a fifth grader. So pen pals is something that we may think of as a dated thing, but it's still very applicable and kids can learn a lot from people all around the world or within their same building. And so educators have made all these different connections using FlipGrid to increase social learning and global empathy and understanding of different cultures. So I'm going to zoom out on this. I want you guys to see this map. I love this as an option because it shows our kids that what our world looks like. A lot of our kids, even my middle schoolers, really didn't understand that where Covington was geographically in response to the whole world. So the cool thing about Grid Pals is it shows you that there are over 20,000 Grid Pals on the map. But look at this. You can connect. Oh, I'm zooming in. Sorry, guys. You can connect with Grid Pals from all over the world. It's taking a minute to load, but I want you guys to see. These people should be loading any minute now. There they go. So look at this. How awesome would it be to connect, if you're learning about Central America, to connect with actual students that live in Central America? So I thought this was a really, really awesome idea. And I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys this. So if you wanted to connect, and my computer's kind of lagging with my zoom out. If you wanted to connect with educators and students from different places, all you would have to do is log in. You have to be in your educator's account. So you can't be using your personal FlipGrid. You're using your one with your Newton County email. And you have to complete your profile under this little tab. Okay, so you got to make sure that your profile is all loaded up because they want to make sure they have information about you for their demographics. If you use social media, make sure you use your social media handles. Yes, only educators. So this isn't like any old body. These are only educators around the world using FlipGrid. So it's very important that you use your FlipGrid account, your email that's Newton County. Otherwise, you won't even have that button, that option. Okay. So if I want to activate, I have to make sure, if I want to use Grid Pals, I have to make sure that this button right here is highlighted where it says active. Educators can connect with me. And so I want to go down. And so now these are all the different educators, and it shows you where they are. And it also shows you the content area that they've highlighted themselves as. And so you can, based on, and that's why the profile option is so important, based on what you put in your profile. So this is an educator in Zimbabwe, and his subjects are art, visual performing arts and music, and middle school grades. So let's just say I wanted to connect my students with a teacher or a class in Zimbabwe. So I would click on Kevin and I would send him an invite. And I'm basically asking for him to be a Grid Pal with my students. Once you do that, once you set up those replies, then you basically open up the communication for you and that person to connect your students together. Tell me what you guys think about that. Yay. I thought it was pretty cool. Like I said, FlipGrid opened this up when I left the classroom and then I didn't have any little people to practice with. But if you do this, whether you do it this school year or you wait until, you know what, it might be something cool to connect, because we are in a situation right now that this isn't just affecting us here. The pandemic is affecting the whole world. So it might be cool to see how students across the world and teachers across the world are handling this unique time. And so I'm going to just let those creative juices start overflowing. But I would be so excited to learn how any of you decide to use Grid Pals. If you decide to use them, please, oh, please don't forget about me. I really want to know how this works. I've heard other people at different trainings and different sessions talk about it, different ed tech sessions. And so I would love to see how our teachers in Newton County are using Grid Pals. It would be so cool to show your kids the map and show them, look, we're talking to people that are all the way on the other side of the world. So if you end up doing it, please, oh, please let me know so that we can just learn more about it. Okay, so Grid Pals is just our pen pals. Okay, so we talked about AppSmashing in the Disco library. We talked about Grid Pals, connecting people to all around the world. The next thing I want to show you guys is the mixtapes. So our button right here called Mixtapes. We talked about this briefly in our first FlipGrid session, but I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit more so that we can be on the same page, because we kind of did it really fast. So let me find out. Let me take a pulse of the room. Does anybody know what a mixtape is? I want to assume that we know. Okay, very good. So some people said no. Okay, so a mixtape, long ago, before music was on our phones, we used to listen to music on cassette tapes. I know there was other ways to listen to music, okay, but let's start with cassette tapes. So a mixtape is basically a compilation of all the music. So instead of just listening to Beyonce on one tape, front and back, a mixtape gives me a little bit of Beyonce, gives me a little bit of New Edition, gives me a little bit of any of the artists that I love. Okay, so it's just I get to make my own tape of all the, oh yes, TLC, Gina, Master P. Yes. So it's a compilation of good stuff, right? So in FlipGrid, they came up with the idea. Remember, we're amplifying student voice. Yes, it's like a Pandora channel, if we come back to 2020, or a Spotify channel, or your Apple Music station, right? So in our mixtapes, you get to basically compile all of your very, very good videos in one place. So I like to, when I was in the classroom, I made it a competition. So down here, I have my VIPs mixtape. And so I told my kids, if your video is really, really, really good, I will add you to my mixtape. Of course, they didn't understand why a mixtape was so important. So we had a short history lesson, okay? But you don't put just any old body on your mixtape. You save your mixtape for the good people, right? So the mixtape option allows you to be able to showcase all of your good spotlight videos in one place, okay? So you can make as many mixtapes as you want. So if I wanted to create, for example, if we were doing, like, we'll go back to that Epic option with Rosie Revere. If I wanted to create a mixtape of student responses that were really good, I would click this button that says Add New Mixtape, and I would give it a name, and I would call it The Best. Okay. And so then I could give it a description. It's going to give, it basically creates a playlist of the videos that you add. Okay. So I can call it The Best. Right here, if I want to make it password protected, I can, but I don't want to. And I'm going to say create mixtape. So now I have the best mixtape created, and now I want to add videos to it. So in order to do that, it says add student videos to your mixtape by using the actions drop down. So if I come over here, I'm going to edit my details. Oh, I did that wrong. I'm sorry, guys. So I create the mixtape first. And now I'm going to go back to my grids. So if I go to a grid, I see one that actually has videos on it. Let's go to this one for Teach for Tomorrow. So I have some video responses from people. And so now Natalie, she's the best. I need to add her to my mixtape. Over here on every response, there are actions that you can use. I click that drop down and I say, add to mixtapes. And then it asks me which mixtape would I like to add it to. So I'm going to add it to The Best and then click add. Got it. So then I'm going to choose another one. Isaac was really good. I'm going to add him to my mixtape and click add. So now I want you guys to see what that looks like. I go back to my mixtape button, and now I have 2 videos on the best mixtape. I can now share just these exemplars. Think of it as, that's a good way to say, these exemplars, I can share them with this link. So I can copy this link and share it. I could share this QR code. I could even post my mixtape if we were back in school. I could print this QR code and post this on a bulletin board. So instead of, it's basically showcasing student work. And so people could scan the QR codes and watch the videos of our student work outside of our classroom. What do you guys think about mixtapes? I like it. I like to make it a competition. Middle schoolers are competitive. I think a lot of students are competitive, period. And so when you make it a way to, if you want to be a part of my mixtape, you got to give me a really, really good response. So it entices them to make sure they're putting forth their best work. This is a little bit easier, but you can also drag the order of your mixtape. So if I wanted a video to appear in a certain order, I can switch it. So that's that. Okay. You guys are awesome. So the next thing that I want to show you guys that may, I think it'll make you excited, is FlipGrid Shorts. So a lot of people have asked about ways to how to record their screens. They want to share some, maybe a whiteboard with their students. FlipGrid Shorts is a way that you can record videos that don't necessarily have to be a part of a grid. So if I wanted to record a short, and they call them shorts, I don't know why they call them shorts, but they're short videos. So I guess maybe that's why. So if I wanted to record an instructional video, I could click record a short. I have 10 minutes. So here's my camera. Hey guys. If I wanted to not have my face shown, but I wanted to use a whiteboard, I can click this little paint button, and then I can begin to draw. And I'm going to record my voice while I draw. So today, guys, we are talking about equations, and I want you to look at this equation. Yada, 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 yada. Okay. So if I was good with that, I click next. The good thing about shorts is it allows you to add a little bit more. So today, guys, I can add videos that I've recorded somewhere else, or I could leave it as is and click next. There's a way to edit these. I can like trim them. This one was too short to trim, but I can trim them, edit the videos if there's like a long, awkward pause at the beginning or whatnot. So if I love my video, I click next. I have to take a selfie at the end. That's FlipGrid's thing. I could add stickers as well. But now I have a short and I can share this video with my students. So when I click the video, it gives me a code, a URL, and it also gives me a QR code. I have a lot of options here. I can download the video. I can use the embed code. I can send it to my students on Remind. So I have some different options for how I could use that video. What do you guys think about shorts? Easy enough? There's another option. Oh, I forgot to show you guys. I'm going to open up a new one. There's another option in shorts. Filters, stickers. Oh, I skipped it. Sorry, guys. Cancel. This option right here. When I open up, do you see these ellipses? I need some chapstick. When you click video options, there is a new, it's in a beta run, so I haven't been able to try yet, but tell me what you think. There is an option to do a screen record. So a lot of people want to send your kids flip charts. Your kids cannot open flip charts. I hope that's not new news. Your kids cannot open flip charts, but you can record or screen record yourself using a flip chart and then send them the video. So if there's some manipulatives you want to walk through or explain, sample problems. The screen record option is super easy. I've used a variety of screen record tools. This one, I haven't applied it to people. I've just played around with it by myself, but it's super easy. So if I just click the screen record, it's going to say start screen recording. I only have 10 minutes. So this isn't for a whole long drawn out instructional piece. For my elementary, well, everybody, if you have a topic that you know, even if it's a review topic at this time, sometimes a video of you completing the task helps. For example, my second grader is decomposing numbers. I needed a mini lesson on that. I had to go on YouTube to find out how we were going to break these numbers apart. So using the screen record feature, if you have some digital manipulatives that the kids are used to using, may be beneficial for you. Tell me what you guys think about the FlipGrid shorts. Just another tool. Sometimes recording videos takes up a lot of space on your device, depending on how what you're using. So I like that FlipGrid enables you to record and send just a URL and not necessarily a whole video. The other thing you can track is the amount of views your video has had once you send that out to everybody. So you guys have gotten a little deeper dive into our FlipGrid. And I wanted to make sure that you had some time to play around with some things. A lot of times when you do a training and you're just sitting and getting, your questions always happen after the training is over. So I want you to, in a separate tab, in another tab, leave me in WebEx and then go to another tab. I want you to open up FlipGrid and I want you to begin to play around with some of the things we talked about, whether it's an AppSmash in the Disco library, maybe it's researching some grid pals from around the world that you may want to see if they are open to connecting with your class. I want you guys to have a few moments before we get off to play around and ask me questions live. I will be honest. If you send me an email when we get off, you are at the bottom of the queue. You will be number 499,222. How do we erase text in a short? So there should be a button where you can undo. I'm going to act like I'm in a short. I'll start one. Do you mean the drawing tool? Are you using this? There's this button up here at the top that says clear. Click that. Any other questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quickly.